Yo, 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 peace and blessings. Thank you so much for joining me today. Welcome to the very first episode of my podcast. I've been wanting to do this for so long, and I just feel so happy right now. I'm on such a high frequency, and it's like the perfect time for me to record the first episode because I feel like the universe almost made me wait until right now to record this episode. It just feels like perfect. So I'm so excited to share my message with you, share my story. Today I'm going to dive deep into basically the entire story of my life, like at least a condensed version to get to where I'm at now. And this is going to really raise your vibration. By the end of this podcast, you're going to feel so inspired, so enriched, uplifted. You might have some new breakthrough ideas that change your life forever. You might just be really entertained and just feel like you're in good company because I'm on a beautiful high frequency right now, and I just feel happy to be alive. I just got out of a meditation bath, and I got out of the bath right at 2:22. And like for some reason, right when I got out of the bath, I was just like, I need to record an episode right now. Like vibes just started flowing through me, and then I looked over and I was like, I've had this podcast sitting here for months. When am I gonna, or this mic sitting here for months? When am I gonna actually record an episode and actually have some courage to take action on my dreams? Because I love listening to podcasts. They've absolutely changed my life. Like there's so many beautiful podcasts out there that I listen to on a daily basis, and they've really up-leveled my life in massive ways, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, health-wise, fitness-wise, financially, relationship-wise, like just every type of way possible, right? And podcasts are such a powerful way to learn and consume content that can enrich and uplift our lives while we're also doing other stuff. You could be driving right now. You could be on the subway. You could be on the bus. You could be doing laundry, cleaning your house, on a nice walk in the forest, on a beach, relaxing, laying in a float tank. You could be anywhere and like doing other things while also listening to this and getting that brain food and that soul food that's going to really light you up and help you take your life to the next level. So I wanted to share a little bit about my story and just kind of like how I got to where I'm at now. First of all, I just want to say, if you're listening to this, I love you. Thank you for listening. My intention is for this to really uplift you and inspire you in a massive way. And I'm not trying to just hear my own voice talk. I really want to engage with the community and build up this tribe that we've been building through my music, through my YouTube videos, through my social media, through my just daily life. We've been kind of gathering this tribe of beautiful people that are trying to be the best versions of themselves, that want the best for everyone on this planet and everyone in the universe to thrive. So I view you as a kindred spirit if you're listening to this, and I just want you to know that my intentions come from a beautiful, pure heart that just wants nothing but the best for you. And I really appreciate you giving me your attention and your time to listen to me share my message and my story today. So thanks for tuning in to the first episode. The podcast will obviously get way, way, way more refined as we go on. I just feel like you got to jump in. You got to take action. Sometimes you got to jump out of the plane and build a parachute on the way down. You got to take action even when it scares you, even when you don't know what you're doing. I'm all about messy, inspired action. Messy and massive inspired action. That means you're just aligned, you're inspired, you feel called to do something, but you have no idea what you're doing. You just jump in and try it because it's itching in your soul to do it, and you have no other choice almost but to take action even though you're super scared. You don't know really the proper techniques or the tools or the methods or whatever, but you figure it out on the way. You know what I mean? You don't need to know every step of the way to begin your journey. And I think that's where a lot of us get caught up and hold back from chasing our dreams, is we're waiting for conditions to be perfect and ideal. We're waiting for better equipment. We're waiting for some magical day when more money comes into our life. But I mean, the more money's going to come in from our life from doing what we love and taking action and doing what we can with what we have. So we got to stop waiting for ideal circumstances, because they're never really going to be ideal, and we're always going to have fears and limitations and things that we think are holding us back. So it's best to just take action when we're feeling it and not even worry about like being perfect at it and not worrying about what people are going to think. Like right now, I'm just here to serve on this podcast, and I'm just going to say some words from my heart on a microphone, press and record. I got some meditation music playing in the background from Mind Valley. I got some bird nature sounds, and I got some whale and dolphin sounds. So there's like all sorts of healing tones in the background. If you can hear them, they're kind of light, but they were just on before I even started recording, and I was like, I'm not even going to turn these off because I kind of just listen to this stuff all the time in the background and keep my home on like a super positive, vibey frequency where I kind of feel like I'm out in nature. I'm getting a bunch of plants in here, and I got bird sounds and streams running through, and it's like if I can't fully be deep into nature as often as I want to be, then I can at least kind of bring the sounds in and vibe out on them. So that's what you're hearing in the background. But I just wanted to get into a little bit of like my story and like where I'm at now and how I got here. So I don't want to take up way too much of your time and just ramble on for hours. So I'll try to keep it brief. And I got some beautiful, fun things to get done this afternoon too. So hopefully it'll be a semi-quick episode for this first edition. And then as I progress and get more guests on here and stuff, we'll get into some deeper dives. But basically, my name is Burnell Washburn, obviously, and I'm living the dream. Really, I'm living like the life that I manifested that just seemed almost impossible to me years ago. I'm not, obviously the dream keeps getting bigger and bigger as you go on, so I'm not like, you're never like fully arrived at the destination. You're on the journey always, and the journey keeps getting more beautiful, but I literally am living a manifestation of something that I created in my mind like years and years ago, back when I was working jobs I didn't like and dreaming of being able to do what I love for a living. And now I'm so blessed that I get to inspire and uplift and enrich people's lives and make music and art and do what I love and live life on my own terms and set my own schedule, and I get paid to travel and I get paid to spread love, and it's such a beautiful life that I live, and I'm just obsessed with helping other people achieve that for themselves too. It's something I'm really passionate about. I've helped a lot of people start chasing their dreams and get on the path where they're finally taking action towards their ideal life, and they're finally manifesting bigger goals that seemed impossible to them. And it's just, I almost get more joy. I think I do get more joy and more fulfillment out of helping other people achieve their dream life than I even do from achieving it myself. So I love shining, I love glowing, I love growing, I love being the best I can, but I really love helping other people do that. So that's kind of my intention with this entire podcast, and who knows where it'll go. As like I said, it's just messy action. So I started out, I was born in Salt Lake City, Utah. Beautiful place, love the mountains. It's crazy. There's a lot of religious oppression here. It's predominantly Mormon, Christian, and it's crazy because that counterculture actually produces that religious oppression produces kind of like an equally strong counterculture, if that makes sense. So there's a lot of art here. There's a lot of business here. There's a lot of awesome things happening here, and I kind of grew up in a decent middle class neighborhood, but I grew up with a scarcity mentality. Even though we were in a nice neighborhood and there was always food on the table, there was kind of always stress and scarcity and kind of lack and limitations. And I was kind of raised that you need to work really hard, you need to go to school, you need to get good grades, you need to obey the law, you need to follow the rules, stay in line so you can go to a good college, and then if you get good grades there, then you can get a nice job and you can buy nice material things, and if you get these nice material things, then you get the reward of being stressed out on the week all week and then enjoying them on the weekends. That's kind of like the mindset I feel like I grew up in, and it was just this paradigm that I just never really resonated with as a young age. I felt like I was always kind of the black sheep of my family. I was always kind of counterculture in a lot of ways, and I never really wanted to be like a rebel. I never saw myself as a rebel. I just saw myself as like a free spirit who saw a better way and just saw that the ways of my parents, my family members, society, my teachers, my neighbors, my elders, a lot of these people, and they had a lot of brilliant things to offer, but I also saw that they didn't have it all figured out, and a lot of them didn't seem happy and fulfilled to me. So I just kind of felt like in my soul, since I was really young, that I wanted to live life on my own terms, and I kind of knew that there was a better way. My soul just knew that life wasn't meant to be struggle and hardship and pain all the time. And although I welcome that and I embrace the duality of that, and I love the contrast of that, and I totally love how that's what helps us grow, but I also kind of just knew that there was a different paradigm than like working 9 to 5 at a job you don't like so you can buy stuff you don't need. And it seemed like a lot of these people were trying to escape their life by just watching TV, eating shitty food, drinking lots of alcohol, doing lots of prescription pills. There was just so much like prescription drug abuse around my area, which was mostly, and a lot of it was in the church, and a lot of it was not in the church too, but there was just a lot of people I saw like kind of escaping from lives that they weren't fulfilled from because they weren't living their dreams. They weren't really going after what made them happy. They were doing what they thought society needed them to do, or they were trying to please their family. And I just noticed that hardcore from a young age because there was so many young Mormon kids that I grew up with that were just only doing what made their parents happy. And it was just, you could just feel that their soul was crushed by it. And then you'd get these Mormon kids that would rebel against it, and they'd go become alcoholics and heroin addicts and just super opposite of everything their parents were because they were so rebelling against it. So there was kind of this weird balance of like some people were just crushing their souls to fit in and be accepted by their families and by their community. And then there's a lot of people escaping it. And then, there's like a really small group of people that kind of were more like me, that kind of saw a different way than all of that. And that was kind of more, at least in my eyes, that was a lot of the skateboard and snowboard culture here. So I got heavily into skateboarding and snowboarding at a young age. I wanted to be a pro skater. I was obsessed with it from 4th grade on, and that's really what led me into being into entrepreneurship. That's what led me to be interested in branding, marketing, graphic design, media production. Like I was taking photos, shooting videos. I put together my own skate magazine. I was teaching skate lessons to people in the neighborhood, and that's when I really knew that I was getting fulfilled from helping other people more than just myself. Like, because I was like, I get more excited teaching someone else how to land a kickflip than I do from when I learned it myself. You know what I'm saying? So, just from a young age, I got into like everything I'm into now, including hip hop music, which is my career and my, one of my biggest passions in life, all through skateboarding and snowboarding. So I owe a lot to that, and I feel like that was kind of my outlet to be self-expressive in a culture that wasn't accepting of self-expression. Like, I didn't fit into the norm, but I could kind of express myself through the way I skateboarded, through the way I snowboarded and all that. So that's kind of my first love, and that's what brought me a lot of my original homies and friends and everything back in the day. So like, it all like, I don't know, it was wild because I started breaking some bones. I started getting a little bit hurt, broke my arm, broke ankle, fucked up my knee, broke my back eventually snowboarding, and I just like started getting out of the extreme sports as much, at least like the pushing to the crazy levels. And somehow like I went through some hardships emotionally, like, with my first love and girlfriend and stuff like that. And when I was around like 15, 16, and music just came out of nowhere and swept me off my feet. Like, it was wild. Like, I just got like heavily into hip hop out of nowhere. when I was around 16, and I was always kind of like into it a little bit from skateboarding, but because they played a lot of dope ass hip hop and skate videos, and that's where I originally found it. But it just like all of a sudden I found that, and I found poetry. I started writing poetry, and poetry was just like I don't know, it was like a godsend. When I found it, it was like the only thing that felt right. I was like, I can express myself in a way that I couldn't ever feel like I could be understood anywhere else in life. And I always felt like a black sheep, like an outcast, like I was saying. So poetry all of a sudden gave me this voice. And it even got me girls in for my first time, because like girls that were into poetry and into that were like feeling my words. And all of a sudden I found this confidence of like, I never felt confident in the way I looked, or I wasn't even, because at first all my confidence kind of came from being like the best skateboarder, and then like when I started falling off that, I lost all my confidence. And then poetry kind of helped me get my confidence back. I started getting into hip hop music really heavily around 16, 17, just became obsessed with just listening to it. And then I started freestyle rapping mostly as fun in high school, just as a joke. And we were trying to be gangster and just joking around, you know what I'm saying? And then like it just stuck with me. I started feeling like I was good at it, even though I really wasn't. But for some reason, it felt like I always wanted to be involved in music. I always wanted to play guitar or piano, but my parents would never we could never afford like lessons, or they would never get me lessons or an instrument or anything necessarily. My mom did get me like one guitar lesson once, and that was dope. But I just never was around it, and I didn't know anyone that played music. I didn't know anyone that was in the music scene or industry or anything like that at all. So hip hop all of a sudden felt like I could finally, I could rap. I didn't need an instrument. And then I got this little keyboard, and you could play kind of beats on it and rap. And it was, I don't know, it was just so fun. It just took over my life. It was all I wanted to do. Come home from school and just jam and play music all day, all night, every day. It was just became this burning passion and obsession. And then I basically started writing my own shit right at the end of high school, but I wasn't really serious. It was more on the poetry side that I was serious. The rap stuff was more being silly. And then high school was kind of rough for me. High school was really rough for me. I almost didn't graduate. Had a lot of homies getting into drugs and heroin. It was just wild times. And didn't really have very good self-esteem. Wasn't really on a spiritual path. I wasn't really on a health path. I was eating, not at all on a health path. I was eating the worst diet known to man. Drinking soda all day, eating pizza and breadsticks all day and candy and just, donuts for breakfast. You know what I mean? It was just a way, way opposite lifestyle of what I'm living now. And I was really depressed. I didn't even realize kind of how depressed I was, but after high school, right after I graduated, I ended up going to Canada with my grandpa for the summer. And I was just camping. And every night, and that was right when I started smoking cannabis. So I brought a half ounce up there. I snuck it over the border, brought it with me. And every night, my grandpa would go to bed pretty early, 7 p.m. Because he'd be tired from grinding and driving all day and setting up camp and everything like that. And we were all deep in the backcountry most of the time, camping and fishing the entire time. And he would go to bed early, but the sun would stay up because it was July, so the sun would stay up till 11 or 12 at night up in British Columbia, Yukon, places like that. We were on the Alcan Highway, which is a dope-ass scenic highway that basically goes from Alaska down to I think it goes to down to Montana. So it goes through British Columbia and Yukon and Alaska. But my grandpa would go to bed, and I'll go out on my canoe or my pontoon boat, and I would just I would blaze some weed. And I was journaling because I think my grandpa wanted me to keep a journal or something like that. So that's why I was keeping a journal, and just every night I was writing about my experience, because this is before I had a cell phone, before I had a smartphone, before I had, I might have had my first cell phone, maybe. I don't know. I think I got it right around the end of high school. But didn't have technology, didn't have a laptop, didn't have internet, didn't have anything like that out there the whole time. So I was journaling and in that journal, I just randomly started like writing songs. Because I'll be all like blazed and just getting inspired from Mother Nature and just feeling so connected to land and being really introverted and having a lot of time to think to myself. And so I came home from that trip with like several songs written, like 2 or 3 songs written in that notebook. I got a job at a ski resort, started writing more there. And that was when I really started like recording a lot and taking it more seriously. Like I might have like my times like slightly mixed up and whatever, because time is such a weird concept to me, and I've never been able to keep the best track of it, but I'm getting better. So anyway, it was like around high school and a high school-ish when I started recording music and taking it seriously. And then like around right after high school, right when I was like freshly 18, I moved out with my friends, got an apartment, and I just started recording all these songs that I was writing at the ski resort and the ones that I had written in Canada. And I just started like making my own beats and recording raps. And I'd already kind of been messing around a little bit, but that's when it like all of a sudden just became like what I was doing all the time. And I had a lot of people coming over and hanging out, and I was showing all my homies little tracks I was making, and everyone was feeling it. And I was giving out little demos and started giving out demo CDs at the shows, like at these Twilight concert series, because they'd be like every Thursday in the downtown, these big ass free shows with dope headliners like Q-Tip from A Tribe Called Quest and like Slightly Stupid, and there's a bunch of dope like hip hop shows that I'll go to. So I'll go give out my demo CDs, and that's how I started building this little fan base. And that was around the MySpace days, so I made a MySpace page, put on my first because this is like 2008, 2009. 2008 is when I graduated high school. So 2009 is when my first actual album came out. And I was giving out, around that time I was giving out a lot of demos. I finally ended up having like 18 songs recorded, and I pressed up an entire album because I found out like a local company that would print up discs for me and do official copies. And I started hitting the open mics, and I got my first album release party through the open mic game. And I didn't know anybody in the industry. I didn't know anyone that had ever recorded a rap song before. I didn't know a single person that had ever made a beat before. I didn't know a single person that had ever performed a show before. So I found out how to do all this shit on my own, just like being resourceful and having such a burning passion. Like none of it felt like work or grinding or hustling. It just felt like aligned, inspired action every day, because I was so in love with what I was doing that I just kept wanting to find ways to expand it. And so I found open mic nights, and through that I found out how to book my own show, and I booked my own show there. And then through that, word spread, and I got on this showcase, and then I got introduced to a venue owner and got to book my album release there. And then that sold out, and that was crazy because I sold out like 350 people on my first album release, because I just had all these homies and high school friends that were all just like mobbing deep, and we were partying all the time, and we could get a bunch of people together, and a lot of people were showing love, and I'd get everyone I knew to hang out flyers and sell tickets for me, and we were just popping it off, like having fun doing it. It didn't even seem like hustling at all or like grinding at all. It was just pure passion and pure being pulled from the universe to like follow my dreams. And this is like right around the time, like rewind a little bit to before I dropped this first album. I had found psilocybin mushrooms and just started exploring with those, and like my whole world changed. All of a sudden I had a spiritual awakening, like my first Kundalini awakening, where my whole life just changed, and I realized everything was energy, and I realized I could create my own reality, and I realized I wasn't a victim of my circumstance, and life wasn't just happening to me randomly. Like I could control it by my emotions, and I just learned the powers of the mind. And that's what made my first album. Like I just had these vivid experiences in the mountains on mushrooms, just where the whole sky is rainbow, and I'm on this fucking divine path, and the trees are singing, and I'm singing to the trees, like just beautiful experiences where like I just knew this is my path, this is what I love, I'm chasing this full-heartedly. And I would just go home and write songs and make music and put out an album, and like just going full force. And within like I just manifested everything like so quickly, because I was on such a high vibe, and I was able to get to the point where sold out that first album release, sold out those copies, got my first opening act to open for a legend, Abstract Rude, from Rhyme Sayers Entertainment, which was my favorite label of hip-hop. It was like Atmosphere and Brother Ali, just all my favorite shit. And like, I started getting connected with all those guys. I got invited out on tour. This is like, we're starting to get super condensed here because I don't want to ramble on too much detail. But I started getting invited out on tours. I started putting out more music. Started getting to travel the world. Didn't have any money, sleeping on homies' couches, sleeping on people's floors on tour, getting fed by fans and meeting new family and friends everywhere I go. And like, it was just a dream, living the dream. Life was just amazing. I just kept getting better and better and better. I kept just going harder and harder in the music. I started getting way more interested in entrepreneurship and business and taking it seriously and like really just killing it. And I became known as basically like the number one, at least one of the top dudes in my region and definitely in my state. And, I was one of the only cats really getting paid and really going on tour and really all that shit. Like, and not to brag or anything or put anyone else down, and there was a lot of other people just killing it. I just was on this frequency where I was manifesting my dreams hella quick. It wasn't that I was even the best. It was just, I was building the most fan base because I was most aligned and I was being my authentic self. And it was such a beautiful time. Like, I'd never really traveled out of the state before a whole lot, and a couple times with my family growing up, but not really much. And I got to just start seeing the country. I got to spread love. I got to meet everyone that I'm friends with now. And it was just wild. And I just kept growing from there. And flash forward, and this takes several years. I released several albums. I start opening for every name you can imagine. I manifest opening for Snoop Dogg. Just like I can't even like drop all the names right now. Mac Miller, Logic, every like big name that I could think of and every underground hip hop legend I could ever imagine, I've opened for them. And I've been the opening act to, performing with all these legends and meeting icons and meeting my heroes and getting to perform with them. And, it was just a wild ride. And it lasted for several years where I was just on this trajectory moving up and up and up. And then I kind of had a lot of ego getting in the way. I kind of had a lot of ego because I don't know what it was. I stopped believing I was worthy of that success, and I felt like I wasn't good enough to have achieved it, so I sabotaged it. And I basically just didn't think I deserved what I had manifested in my life because I felt like, and I was just comparing myself to so many people, and all this fear and struggle and stress started coming up, and like my fan base started falling off a little bit. I started losing. I wasn't getting paid quite as much. I wasn't getting booked on tours and wasn't being able to travel quite as much. And things were stressful financially and whatever. And like, I think I just got too comfortable for a while and thought I was like the shit for a minute and thought I was just unstoppable. And then I like lost my edge and then started questioning everything. I'm not even good enough. Why is anyone supporting? Like, I just sabotaged everything and kind of dwindled down to where I felt like my fan base like almost died for a while. And it didn't really, but it felt like it. But then, I basically got depressed and basically like, I was like, I should give this up, and was really down for a while. And I put everything I had into this album called Gratitude that I released in 2014, and I just hated it after. I just felt like the album sorry, I don't like to use that word. I didn't like the album after, wasn't stoked on it, didn't think it was my best work, was kind of embarrassed by it, to be honest. And I just kind of stopped manifesting things. I was still kind of like playing shows here and there to make money, and I was throwing these events every month called Hip Hop Roots, and I started to fall out of love with why I started all that stuff in the first place, and I was almost just doing it because I needed to pay my rent, and it was the only way I knew how to pay my rent at the time, and it was kind of a dark time. And then next thing I know, I end up having a child unexpectedly, so I ended up having a daughter, and my whole life changed. I got really like down and depressed. I thought my career was over. I went on one last little tour, and the tour was all right, but it was just like I came home basically kind of thinking my dreams were gone and I wasn't going to be able to like provide for my daughter and, off of my music. So I was going to basically have to work a soul crushing job that I didn't like. And I had already worked every type of job ever. I'd been a cashier, I'd worked at the zoo, I'd been a cart boy, I'd been a waiter, I'd been a bus boy, I've worked at many different call centers doing customer service, been in the food service, working in restaurants and kitchens. Like I'd done hard physical labor, been a janitor, done landscaping and hard outdoor labor and heavy lifting. Like I'd done every type of work that you could imagine, and none of it fulfilled me, none of it made me happy, all of it just basically made me feel like I was wasting my beautiful life away. That I was just given this one precious life to live, as far as I know, on this beautiful planet, and I'm just doing this stuff that I hate every day for 8 hours because I need money. Like this is just, there's got to be a better way, and I'm willing to figure that out, because even if it means I have to be completely broke and live like a bum for a while and sleep on people's couch, I'm going to do whatever it takes to figure this out. And like, man, it was hard, but I just basically thought that the whole dream of being a musician was over for a while. I thought I'm going to have to go back and work all these jobs. I'm going to have to go, and I'd already done all these jobs, and I knew what they basically led to depression for me. And some people are meant to work in jobs like that, and they thrive in certain types of jobs. So I'm not trying to put anyone down that has a job or a career, you know what I mean? Or anyone that's on their path and they haven't figured out what their passion is, and you're just working a job in the meantime because you don't want to, be a broke ass, and you want to like be able to live a somewhat comfortable lifestyle while you're waiting to figure out your shit. That's totally respectable, and I honor that 1,000,000%. But once you like know what your passion is and you have this burning desire, then it's kind of like your responsibility to figure it out. And it doesn't mean you need to quit your job. For some people, you need to burn all the bridges. You got to know yourself. So for me, I need to burn all the bridges and just make it happen. The pressure of like, I don't have any other income besides my music, that makes me figure out ways to make money off it every month. But if I had this comfortable job, I probably wouldn't be as inspired, and I wouldn't feel like I had as much time to do this, and I'd maybe be tired from the job and just want to veg out after work, and I wouldn't feel like this need to make music as much. So, but then for some people, like having a job gives them that security so they can comfortably go make music on nights, on their days off, on the weekends or whatever, or do whatever they're passionate about on the side without worrying about it, and their job gives them financial support to help aid that. So both ways are awesome. It's about knowing yourself. I don't think either way is the right way or the wrong way. For me, the best way was to like burn all the bridges, quit the jobs, and go for it full-fledged. But I'll be honest, I thought like after I had a kid, I thought, it's irresponsible for me to try to chase this dream. Who am I to try to be a rapper and a beat maker and try to make money inspiring people and getting paid to travel? Who the fuck am I to do that? Because I see everyone around me kind of working jobs that they're not the most stoked on. And it was really hard for a while. And that depression just got deep, and I just I was sharing a bedroom with my newborn daughter, and baby's mama, and we weren't getting along at all. Plus, we were in this tiny-ass apartment with my roommate and his new girlfriend and her son. So it was just like way too many people in this tiny apartment, and stress and worry and just bad vibes and anger, and me and baby's mama both kind of feeling like our lives were over because we didn't have perspective and it was unplanned, and we barely even knew each other, so it was kind of just rough for all of us. And I even like caved in and started applying for jobs. I started driving for Uber. I applied for jobs at call centers, and I kept trying to make it work off my music, and there was just months where it was so hard, so I ended up getting a job for a while and just crushed my soul, so I left that in the middle of a shift one day. Even though I tried to go in there with such a positive attitude, like they even gave me an award for being like the king, the positivity king, and like I went in there with a good attitude and busted my ass and killed it at my job, but I still just couldn't take it anymore and just walked out in the middle of my shift because I know what I'm on this earth to do, man. I know like why I'm here. I'm here to uplift, inspire, enrich, spread love, help people be the best versions of themselves. I'm here to make music that gets people through hard times. I'm here to spread words and things that are just going to help people live a better, happier quality of life, because I know that I've been through a lot of trials and tribulations, and my perspective can help people, just like other people has perspectives have helped me so much. So I'm just so passionate about trying to share what I've learned to help others live a better life. And I couldn't have done any of that, and I wouldn't be this called to help people if I hadn't just been through hell and back. And I've had so many homies die from overdoses and suicides, and so many family members die. I just like around, and then right after I had this kid, my mom passed away, and that was like one of the hardest things I've ever dealt with, is having my mom, who's my only like really support in life, like the only person that really ever believed in me, because my dad didn't at all, and he's almost, like, just, we can go there on another episode, but my mom was like the only person that just always let me be myself. Since I was a little kid, she just loved me unconditionally, no matter what phase I was in, no matter what I wanted to do. She let me be me, and she supported me 100% in all areas, and she was just a beautiful woman. So I lost her right after having this baby and having a massive breakup with baby's mama, and just life was hard. Getting evicted, getting a car repossessed. Man, talk about getting stronger from, what doesn't kill you. Because I felt like life almost killed me, and I did it almost, I got to the point where I wanted to take my own life several times, and luckily the fact that I had a daughter kept me from doing that. But it got really dark, really heavy, really hard for a while. And this is, mind you, after I had already kind of like lived my dream for a couple years and like been like killing it. And then now I'm just in this dark place wondering what happened to me. That was like a nice little teaser of success, and now I'm just way worse than I even was before, and my life is over basically, and no one loves me, and life sucks, and I'm broke and stressed, and like it was just a hard time. And that was the best gift that I've ever been given. It was the biggest blessing of my life. Oh my God. Thank you, universe. Thank you, universe, for giving me that hard time. Thank you for, having a kid unexpectedly and just going through all this pain, and having my mom die, and having some of my best friends die, and having, getting kicked out of my house, and having my car get taken away. And all these things just made me so much stronger than I ever thought I could be. I feel so grateful now because I'm on the other side of it now, and it's just such a beautiful place. I'm just like beast mode compared to the person I was. Like not even 100 times, I'm 1,000 times the man I was a couple years ago, and it's all because I went through this hardships, and I'd gone through some hardships before, but I hadn't experienced hardships like that in my life. So it was like I went through the fire to come out stronger, and that's what often happens with a lot of. So I basically just got on this crazy self-development path. I got so depressed and almost suicidal and everything. It's like I got to do something about this. So I ended up at Barnes & Noble one day when I was almost suicidal. I found a self-development audio book, and the next morning I started working out. I started a new morning routine where I was listening to inspiring content in the morning. I was taking a bubble bath first thing in the morning. I was starting to work out, even if it was only like 10 push-ups and a couple sit-ups or whatever. Like I started actually being somewhat conscious about what I was eating. Like I just started getting on this self-development path like crazy, mind, body, soul, business, everything like that. And I just had this massive hunger to be the best version of myself. I started really listening to Tony Robbins and Jack Canfield, and I started rewatching The Secret and Law of Attraction stuff, and just like, because I remember like right before when I had like my first kind of spiritual awakening right after high school with mushrooms and the Law of Attraction and all that stuff, and manifested the life of my dreams out of nowhere. Like, I'm this little white kid from Utah that's like never even met a rapper before, and I'm just like, I'm gonna manifest playing with all my favorite artists and getting paid to travel and live my dreams, and I just make that happen like almost effortlessly. And then I just lost my mojo. So I remembered, oh shit, I should get back into the Law of Attraction and all that stuff. So I started studying that again, but this time I wasn't just studying the Law of Attraction, I was studying business and mindset and health and nutrition, and it just led on this rabbit hole where now for the last 4 years, I've I've just grown into a whole different person. I've quantum jumped, so up-leveled in so many major ways. Everyone notices it. Everyone says it. Everyone that I hang out with that's known me for years has said, you have grown so much in the last few years. And they say it's beautiful. And I know it's beautiful because I know who I was and I know who I am now and I know where I'm going. And it's just like, holy shit, I can't believe that I've up-leveled this much. And now all I want to do is share that and help you guys do the same, because it's possible within a few years to just go from being completely broke, depressed, unhealthy, unfit, to being like multimillionaire, shredded, best shape of your life, best relationships of your life, happiest person on earth within just like a year or two. It's possible to do it like overnight, really, but like maybe not completely overnight with the health part and stuff, but it's possible to like really change your life in a short period of time, and we underestimate what can happen in a few years, or we think a few years is too far down the road that we want results right now, so we kind of ignore the journey of a few years. But man, in 3 to 5 years, you can just completely turn your life around in so many major ways. So now I have the most inspiring, empowering like habits and routines that just keep me on point. I've learned so much. I go to seminars, I listen to podcasts, I listen to audiobooks, I work out every day, I take cold showers, I'm eating so healthy, organic, food from nature, no processed foods in my diet really, vegetarian. I have empowering language, affirmations, I do great daily gratitude journals, meditate. I learned meditation that changed my life. I meditate every single day. I do cold exposure. I'm always out in nature. I'm grounding myself. I'm doing EFT tapping, and I'm microdosing. I'm getting coaches. I'm joining masterminds. I'm selling products and services that are flying off the shelves. I'm making the best art I've ever made. My fan base is exploding way more than it's ever exploded. Like, I'm getting way more support than ever. I just dropped a new album and it sold out in like a week, within a week after it dropping. It's pretty much already sold out. There's like 5 copies left, and I made like a grip of money at my release party, and man, I'm just like surging right now. Everything is on this trajectory. Like, I've been traveling a lot lately. I've been to California a couple times. I just went to New York City for my first time, thanks to my aunt and her book release, and I got to perform in Brooklyn for my first time. I have a plane ticket booked to Hawaii in 2 weeks, so I'm going there to my first time, and that's like been a dream and a goal of mine for years. Abundance is flowing in, prosperity is flowing in. I'm making way more money than I've ever made. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm healthier, happier, stronger, and more handsome than I've ever been. No, for real, I'm just stoked on life, and I'm not saying any of those things to brag or anything like that. I'm saying because, number one, I'm proud of myself. I'm acknowledging my growth, and there's so much more growing to do, and I'm excited for that growth. But just to inspire you and remind you how much can change in a short period of time. Like, I can't believe 5 years ago I was like depressed and suicidal and not stoked on life, and even just 2 years ago I was really struggling still. So it's wild what can change when you get on the right frequency, when you start getting in alignment with your soul, and you start having, I feel like I had a whole nother spiritual awakening over the last 6 months, like my second Kundalini awakening, and this awakening was twice as strong and way bigger, and now I'm on like a whole new level, making quantum leaps every day, and wow. Keep seeing my lucky numbers every time I look over. I've seen them like 100 times during this podcast so far. It's wild. But I don't want to get into like too many details of all the things and habits that I'm doing right now, because that's kind of that's what the topics of this podcast is. The habits and the routines and the mindsets of how we can embody the best versions of ourselves and take our lives to whole new levels and really make these quantum leaps. So today I just wanted to give you like a brief overview of like where I've been and where I'm at, and what you might be able to expect on this podcast. So I'm definitely more than a musician. I'm more than a podcaster. I'm more than a person. I'm just like you. I'm part of you. Anything you're seeing and hearing in me is a reflection of what's in you. We are just walking conscious stardust, and it's beautiful that we can share these ideas with each other, and we can share perspectives that can brighten each other's day and help us unlock new levels. So I hope the words that you've heard in this podcast today have done that for you. I hope you've just been inspired and uplifted a little bit, and maybe had some breakthroughs of your own. And I hope that you'll continue to tune into this podcast every week and really continue to grow with me and join this tribe and be a part of this beautiful community that we're growing here of light workers and love spreaders and artists and entrepreneurs and people that want to be in good shape and travel the world and make lots of money and do lots of good in the world and help the environment and give back and donate to charities and live their dreams and live out their soul's purpose and, just be the best versions of themselves and spread as much light and love as they possibly can. So thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your time. I'm about to go break my fast. I've been intermittent fasting now for about 21 hours, and it's time to go break my fast with some maca powder, some turmeric, and some green powder. I think I'm going to throw a little lime and lemon in there, and what else we got? A little ginger, a little garlic maybe. Yeah, we're going to break this fast off real nice and just get on a super high flying frequency for the rest of the day, make some music. Then my beautiful sweet daughter is coming back from her mom's, and we're going to have a little movie night, and then tomorrow we're going on a little daddy-daughter adventure. So thank you for listening. I love you guys. We'll catch you on the next episode. Peace and blessings. Have an amazing rest of your day.